businesses exist without any mentors in their life. I created Business in Review, that way I wouldn't be one of them, and you don't have to be either. Join me in this interview series as we sit at the feet of some successful business leaders right here in Crockett County who have generously shared their time and experience in all things business. Unfortunately, many businesses that attempt to start will fail. But with some tried and true business strategies, you can grow your business even during this time of shutdown. From side hustles to small businesses to large enterprises, there's something for all of us in this week's episode of Business in Review. So without further ado, how can we serve our customers exceptionally well? Here's interview number 2 with Shannon Haynes from Emmaus Consulting. Hey, this week I'm interviewing Shannon Haynes. She is the Director of Customer Development at Emmaus Consulting. Super involved in this community. She's a wife, she's a mom, works with the church, works with nonprofits, works with local government, all the things, all kinds of crazy things. Shannon, I'm super thankful to have some of your time today.
Thank you for having me.
So I've got several questions, but this is the first one that I'm asking everybody. What does it take to be in business?
I think, first of all, you have to have something that you're passionate about, that you want to do, that you want to provide, that you want to give the world. So for me, I'm running a business for someone else, which is, it was important for me to be able to understand his vision and believe that I could bring it to life. Mm-hmm. So really for me, it was, can I do the job that I've been asked to do? Is it something that is important to me? Is it something that I feel like I'm going to make a difference with? Do I have the skill set? Do I have the resources I need to do the job that I'm being asked to do? So that's probably, drive to do what I think I can, see if I can do what I think I can accomplish, and what the expectations are of me, and if I think I can meet them.
Awesome. So based on that answer, would you say that anybody can be in business if they want to be their own business, or does it take
Absolutely.
a special kind? As long as they're passionate and know what they want to do.
Yes.
Awesome.
I think so.
So kind of similar, but also different. So once it gets to that point where you have a product or a service that you're going to offer, what does it take to actually make a sale, to actually close the deal, get that handshake where somebody's going to purchase, spend their hard-earned money on you? What does that take?
I think the most important thing you have to do is establish a need. What is it that they have or don't have that you can provide to them? Mm-hmm. So regardless of, whether it's a service or goods, you have something that they need that you can provide that will, for whatever reason, help them, benefit them, make them more profitable. And that's, once you establish that need, then it's much more about relationships and do they believe that you can deliver on what you've, talked to them about.
Yeah, so when you say establish the need, is that something where, I know you do mostly with healthcare mm-hmm. and healthcare practices, do they feel that need and so they're actively looking, how do we grow, and then they find you? Or are you helping them see a need that maybe they don't even know is there?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think it probably depends on the practice individually because what we do at Emmaus Consulting is a focus on profitability, which is really hard for independent healthcare providers in this marketplace where everything is crazy. Yeah. And it's really hard to do business. It's really hard to be independent with a lot of really large healthcare systems sort of taking everything over. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it's more about helping them maintain their independence, which is really important. A lot of times they do more with less because they have chosen to not be a part of a big system. And so what we try to do is come alongside of them and say, hey, if we can help you grow, if there are areas that we can help you do better in, then, we will provide you these management services, and then in return, you'll pay us based on the additional profit that you gain from what it is that we do.
Yeah, and so in going off that, because again, you're in a consulting business, it's not where you have this physical product all packaged up that you can hand them, you're going in, and so you just use the term management services. Mm-hmm. And so when you're pitching or when you're actually a proposal or a contract or however it is that you do it, is that kind of the offer that we will be your part-time management team until we get you to where you want to be? Is that the...
Yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, we are experts at what we do. You're an expert at medicine. So you need to, the more you can stay focused on your patients, depending on, a lot of times the owners of these practices, either the doctor or nurse practitioner or physician's assistant owns their own practice. Sometimes they have their spouse or they have a managerial person, but sometimes they're doing it all themselves.
Yeah.
And their expertise is patient care.
That's
Their
right.
expertise is focused on the patient, and our position is anything that takes them away from that is losing money, because ultimately the better they can take care of their patients, the more efficiently they can take care of their patients, the more money in theory they're going to make.
Yeah.
And so our goal is, what can we do to help you get more money for what you're already doing?
Awesome.
So that's sort of our focus.
Yeah, very cool. Moving on from that, and so you are at Emmaus Consulting now, and very successful. I've been able to see some of your work and what all that y'all do. But I'm sure it wasn't all like you. Everybody has a starting out point somewhere, and so can you tell me, kind of go back to there and tell me what starting out looked like and how you got to where you are now?
Okay. So I went to college, and I went in pre-law, and I decided my pre-law advisor was a jerk. And so I thought, well, maybe the Lord doesn't want me to go that direction. And so I ended up changing my major, like most 18, 19, 20-year-olds do, a couple of times. And I ended up in human development, which is a psych-based education program. So I'm licensed, in fact, have been licensed until recently to teach K through 8, which is so funny because people don't know that about me, but which is why I'm so passionate about the school board and the work we do with the schools, and children in general. But so I went and I did my, you do your student teaching last. And when I was doing my student teaching, one of my students, I was in kindergarten, was killed in a tractor accident. Now I was in Midtown Memphis, of all places, and this happens. He wrote his name for the first time by cell phone Friday, and Sunday night we got a call, and all came together. It was as tragic as you can imagine. And so I went to third grade and thought, well, I won't be so attached in third grade. Well, that wasn't the case. And so I had a friend of a friend who ran a computer software business for healthcare providers. So that's sort of what got me into the healthcare space. And then, so I did that and grew their business exponentially. But it was really for I don't know how old you are, but I was in my early 20s, and they gave me a real rare opportunity to do some things that I would have never gotten to do otherwise, and believed in me. And so that sort of got me interested. About that time, this was in 2000, and it kind of got me into the thinking about, well, what else can I do in healthcare that would allow me to do more? And that sort of got me into the pharmaceutical business, which was, all I know was that God had every intention of getting me to Crockett County, and this is the way He did it. And so now I can look back and go, okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah. But I went and I applied for drug rep jobs, because back then it was kind of, pharmaceutical companies were kind of loading up and growing. And so I had a guy that gave me a chance, that believed in me in an interview. I had several role models that sort of helped prep me and got me ready. And so I got a job selling drugs. My brother is 12 years younger than me. He went to kindergarten and told his teacher that his sister was a drug dealer. So it was good. And then, so I did that for 7 years, was very successful. I did a really good job with them. And then went into medical equipment sales, surgical sales. And then I met Rusty. And in the midst of all that, I met my husband, his mom was one of my customers. And so that sort of drew me in here. I got involved in politics a little bit, because then this new job I didn't have to be nonpartisan, and so that sort of got me involved from a political perspective. That's how I met my current boss, and the rest is history.
That is so cool. So really, yours has been shaped like by the people you meet, like
100%.
That is so crazy. That is awesome. That's very cool. So moving on from there, and again, I'm super interested with you because you offer consulting and that kind of coaching aspect. What are the challenges in healthcare consulting businesses? What challenges do you face?
Well, there's a couple of different ways you could look at it. The challenges of closing a sale is kind of different from the challenges doing our job and doing our job efficiently. So first of all, I mean, I think our business model is such that we have the way that we've been able to grow is because we have served our clients so well, and then they tell, well, you need to go talk to these people and then tell them I sent you, kind of thing. And so our business has overwhelmingly grown through referrals rather than cold calling. But at first, when I came on board with Emmaus Consulting, we had 4 customers.
Okay.
And now we have almost 50.
Yeah.
So in 7 years, we've grown exponentially, which is great. It's been really good. But it has been through taking really good care of the ones you got, has allowed us to grow, essentially. Now, the challenges from taking good care of them is a lot of times they may or may not do what I tell them to do.
Yeah.
And so it's very much, well, you can only I told you so to so many people. So it's, here's what we know you need to do. It's ultimately your decision if you do it. I can't, And so I think that's probably, for me, one of the bigger frustrations is, if you would have just done what we told you,
Yeah.
But, that's kind of the great thing about being a consultant. Ultimately, when you own your own business, you call the shots. You do what you want to do. You can hope to get really good advice. And, we certainly have had clients who have not made good advice. They have gotten bad advice. And then when they come to meet us, they're like, well, sorry. They're a little bit nervous because they have gotten bad advice from people. And so that's really why we've set up our business the way we did, because we don't have, most consulting services say, pay us this money, and then we're going to give you our consulting services.
Yes.
We really have put our money where our mouth is. You don't ever pay us a penny until you have money in your bank account that's directly tied to something we've done for you.
Oh, very cool.
And so we can say, we can give you all the advice in the world, but if you don't make any money off of it, then you don't have to pay me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes us a really long time before we get there, but we're willing to put in that work on the front end to make sure. And the other thing about our clientele is a lot of them are really, really running on a shoestring budget, and they don't have the cash to just hire expensive consultants. And so I think we've done ourselves a disservice, and I didn't name our business, it was just that's what it was. In fact, when he first founded it, we were billing and consulting, and when I came on, I said, we ain't doing anything with billing, and we weren't even doing that. It was just in our name when he. And I think he learned real quick that it wasn't the direction he wanted to go. So I basically took that part out, and we're really kind of toying the idea of how do we rebrand our business from consulting, which can sometimes turn people off, to what would be a better way to brand ourselves, so that there isn't that misconception of, hey, I'm here to be your consultant. So.
Yeah, I love that. That is so cool, because that's something that it's so appealing of if we could directly tie our, profit with their business's results. I imagine that they look at you as a consultant, sure, but I imagine with that kind of model that they see you more as a real partner in this business, because you're only invested on the work that they do.
That's right.
And so I imagine that helps, like the rapport and the trust there, I imagine just skyrockets as soon as they're like, okay, this sounds great. How much is it going to cost me? And then you say, actually nothing until you get results. That's how much we care. That is so cool. And
we get paid good, but it's only on above, over and above of what they're already doing. But, this is the kind of business where, we're at your husband's funeral. We visited you in the hospital. I mean, we really are. A lot of times I send an email out to our family. Well, I'll say Emmaus family. I mean, it really is kind of like a family. Yeah. And we know that they can benefit a lot from us, but they also benefit a lot from each other. So just sort of if you're just sort of out here by yourself, and now you have all these other independent businesses that you're not technically affiliated with, but are affiliated through us. We have, hey, can you have her call me because I have a question about fill in the blank? And so we're really able to help navigate, help them navigate through those relationships if it's something that it's not our forte, but we have, 49 other clients that may have had that same experience were able to, you know.
So it becomes a built-in community of all of your clients.
That's what we've tried to build.
That is so cool. Mm-hmm. And so let me ask too, because I know that there's probably lots of ways that you can help these healthcare companies and practices grow. But when you describe it, what problem do you help them solve?
So I think a lot of times, again, they don't have the hospital administration to lean on. They don't have a team of lawyers to lean on. They don't have an accounting firm. I mean, you know, not that I'm not to say they don't have accountants, they do, but you know, really what we're able to do is be that sounding board of what about this? How do we do this? You know, we've heard some of our competitors are starting to do this, and really we can come in and say, okay, and you said we'd help them grow. Not all of them. I mean, some of them we're like, wait a minute, you're trying to do too much with too little. We need you to slow down, you know.
Yeah.
So it really just kind of depends on the practice. And some need us, or it's so much more time consuming than others. It just really just kind of depends on how they've set their business up.
Yeah.
And so basically we can be there to answer their questions when they're like, who do I turn to? Because their expertise mostly is medicine.
What they do, yeah.
Yeah, and so not, you know, all of the things that come with running a business. In fact, I've had one of my clients say, why don't they teach us how to run a business when we go to school? Because they ultimately have to, and they don't know about taxes and licenses and, you know, all the things that come, you know, AR, you know, how to run QuickBooks, you know, just simple things like that. How do we make those kinds of decisions? And so that's really where we can say, no, we don't have any skin in the game of, we don't care what EMR, you know, records you want to use. It's up to you. But look, hey, we have all these different clients. These people like this about this system. Hey, anybody use this other system? We do. Let me put you in touch with them, and we can help them, you know, make an informed decision about what they're trying to do in their business. So
yeah, and so it sounds like, especially if they're smaller practices, they just don't have the resources that they need to compete with maybe some of these bigger ones or to manage what they're doing. And I have a similar, the niche that I would love to serve is counselors, and that's my background. And so you go through years and years of getting your degree, and then you have to go through years of getting your license to be able to practice. And then when you finally get all of that, you've never had a business class. You don't know how to market, how to get those clients. And so if you're a practicing counselor, you want to be, you know, in your own private practice, but then you have no idea how to build up that caseload. And so I'm just like, man, that's such a sad problem, because you put in all this work. You're such an expert at what you know how to do, but we never once had how to be in business class.
Right.
And so the same with them. That would have been so beneficial. And so in kind of closing here, for me, and then for anybody else maybe starting out in business, what advice do you have to help me grow from zero to starting out and being successful and on my feet?
Well, I mean, I think what you're doing here is a really great jumping off point, because for me, having mentors of people who have been really successful was really key. Just building those relationships, having somebody to call and say, hey, what do you know about this? Or I'm thinking about making this decision. What do you see that are pros and cons? Because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And there's a lot of people that have been there and done that. And hey, learn from my mistakes. You're going to make your own mistakes, I'm going to give you some advice that's yours to take or not take, but at least I can say I told you so. But for sure, developing relationships with people that can pour into you and be a sounding board, believe in you, and help you network. All of those things are so critical. Had I not, first of all, I'm a Christian, and I believe that the Lord has put me exactly where He wanted me when He needed me. That still doesn't change the fact that I had a decision every step of the way. And I've learned sort of, for me, follow the peace has really been something I've really kind of clung to, because sometimes you don't know. And you kind of have to get quiet with yourself and say, okay, no, Lord, what do you want me to do here? If I would have ever told you that when I was 20 that I would be living in Crockett County, Tennessee, with no street light in the whole county, I would have said, you are crazy, and here I am. if they would have said, oh, by the way, you're going to be on the school board, you are going to serve in the Republican Party, oh, by the way, you're going to be a treasurer of the Republican Party, oh, also, you're going to run Relay for Life, you're also going to found the Crockett Witches Ride. I mean, if you say all those things, oh, by the way, you're also a wife and you're going to have 2 children. Who knew? Mm-hmm. But had I not made the decisions I made, I wouldn't be right here right now. And I can see exactly how the people that were put into my path were all put there for a reason. And just making sure that you, again, develop the relationships with the people that can, because you never know in 15 years who you're going to come across and you're going to need their help for something. That's and you'll be like, I cannot believe, that just happened. So, I mean, for me, that's the biggest thing is just be yourself and love people, and everything will be great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm familiar with your work at Emmaus Consulting, but maybe you can describe to people watching this just kind of what you do. Okay. Maybe give a blurb for Emmaus.
Sure. So at Emmaus Consulting, we are a healthcare consulting firm, management firm, that basically what we do is we come alongside independent healthcare providers to help them drive profitability in their businesses. And so basically we come and take a full sort of snapshot of their whole practice, and we say, here are ways that we think you can be better at what you're doing. And so essentially we have practices in all 3 grand divisions of the state. I travel the whole state of Tennessee, and we love it. It's such a blessing to get to help protect independent healthcare providers, especially in rural areas. And so our focus has been on helping those independent providers stay independent in rural Tennessee. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Shannon, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you.
People won't click on your website just because it's pretty. People don't buy things because of pretty images. They buy things because of the words they read. Think about the last time you were shopping on Amazon. Did you find a product and then see those beautiful product photos and just think to yourself, wow, these are so sharp and so crisp. I'm just going to add to cart right now, no questions asked. No, you read the product description and you scrolled down and you read product reviews from other people, and then you arrived at your buying decision. Words are important. That's why every website I build for a customer always starts in the content phase. You're investing in a website because you have real, measurable business goals, and crafting your brand story is the most important part of that process. If your website isn't performing the way you want it to, or if you're having trouble figuring out what to put on your website, call Derek Smith Marketing today, and we'll begin crafting your marketing message that will ensure you'll never, ever be boring again.